Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anymore. I'm John.
I've been on the show for 5 years, and I finally learned to pull my headphones off when Dave starts the show. I'm JD.
Come on, we have to start it with energy and be happy and up and
bloody eardrums. Yes.
Dude, I am so tired. So
I know we're at the end of a long holiday weekend.
Actually, it's the start of my vacation. So
good for you.
I got a week of...
Oh, well, there we go. There, good. Now we can start with how you doing, John? You're on vacation. What do you got? Anything special planned?
I just finished painting a mailbox post because I'm getting ready for them to redo my driveway on Wednesday. So I'm going to put a new mailbox up. It's going to look really nice, right up into the fact that half of my garage doors are rotted through. So that's my next project.
So let me get this straight. You took time off to do work around the house.
Yeah, well, I took Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off because they're doing my driveway. I'm like, I want to make sure that it's done right because I've been burned in the past. And then I realized, oh, that's right, Monday's a national holiday. Cool. And then I'm thinking to myself, why the hell am I going to go to work one day this week?
Exactly.
So I just said, screw it, vacation. This is the first vacation I've had in a while.
Well, do something tomorrow.
I'm going to work on some stuff that I really wanted to work on. Like a Minecraft mod.
I was going to say, drive to the beach and put your feet in the ocean.
Yeah, I'll just like set up a kiddie pool out back, put my feet in there, get a fan, put it on me, and then throw some sand in the air. I'll get the feeling of it anyway. maybe throw some shells in the microwave and put them under my feet so I get burns. It'll just be just like being at the beach.
Sounds lovely. Anything else new and exciting in your world? Do anything fun this week? Besides your homework? No,
all the fun was sucked out of me by this one movie that I had to watch.
You're going to die and burn in hell for these opinions. I'm just going to lay that out right now. Like
actually,
a special corner of Hades.
Actually, I have already died.
Not in that one.
Not in that one.
You think what
I'm
I
holding
do
up
to
his
you
books.
You think what I do to you is bad. Wait.
No, this is just to anger you. So the next time I pay you to kill me, it's really good.
Oh, the disappointment and heartbreak. Continue.
No, I've nothing else. Just kind of, more relaxed than I've been in a while. I didn't realize I needed a vacation so bad. I think I was burned out from work. So yeah, kind of happy. So that's it for me. What about you, JD?
Didn't do much over the weekend. My kid is staying at grandparents for a week. He was with his mom. He was with his mom's dad for a week on the farm. Now he's staying with his mom's mom for a week at their house. So the two of us are just solo, which is nice.
Yeah.
So she's been sick, which is not nice. So I've been getting work done. It's all right. Knocking out words on the new book. Got some other little things I got to do. Nothing fancy.
Nothing at all.
I'm reading. I bought Shadows of the Empire because I was in a Star Wars kick. So I bought, and I tried to read Shadows of the Empire freshman year of college. And I got like 10 chapters in and lost the paperback. And I just never finished it. So then I saw I think it was a Toy Galaxy thing about it. And I'm like, God, I got to finish this book. So I found it on Amazon. I bought it. And that night I found it in my dog's mouth. So I had to pry it out so that literally chewed on the corners is enough to read. I'm okay. But yeah.
Well, that's one way to dog ear a book.
That's my joke too. I made it to my wife and she was not pleased with me.
Well, I appreciate it, JD.
Thank you, John. I thought you would.
So, all right. I'm not sure. Was the video game based on the book, or is the book based on the video game?
Yeah. The answer to the question is yes. This was a concentrated marketing effort from the Star Wars people to reintroduce Star Wars to my generation. Because again, I'm about 16, 15, something like that when this comes out. And we hadn't had any Star Wars for a good decade plus at this point. So what they did was they decided they were going to do a video game, a comic book, a toy line, a soundtrack, and a novelization to a movie that never happened.
Oh,
that's right. We did talk about this before. Yeah.
So they created this whole Shadows of the Empire marketing campaign. And I had the video game, loved the video game because it was one of the first things you can get at N64. And I dug it. I never read the comics, but I was into that. And I never got around to reading. I tried to read the book and lost the book. And now I'm just feeling Star Warsy. So I figured I was going to read some out of continuity Star Wars. And this is actually they released that in 96, and then in 97 they reintroduced the original trilogy in theaters, and then in 99 they brought out the new trilogy. So it was phase one of a 3-step marketing campaign to reintroduce Star Wars to the masses.
Yeah, it's funny because I know I played the game, but I don't think, and I probably have a couple of those comics, but that's it. Like it's a marketing campaign I didn't realize existed.
Well, it's interesting because like the book, because they took different wings. So the comics are focused on the bounty hunters. The book is really about Luke and what he's got going on. The video game is about Dash Rendar, who's like the Han Solo stand-in.
Right.
So they all cornered a different angle of the story, which is really kind of interesting. But again, this was done in an era before social media or viral marketing. So, I mean, like, it was really pretty ambitious and in my opinion, a little ahead of its time. Like if they had done this even in the mid 2000s, I think it could have been a lot easier and more successful to push this kind of a campaign forward. Now it'd be a piece of cake because you could do all kinds of stuff to do something like this. Now, why would they not make a movie or a Disney series or something like that? But it's for the time, it's quite ambitious. And I'm going to crack the book open tonight after we're done with the show. And I do a little bit of work. I got to write 1,000 more words in the novel. So that's my reward as I get to read Star Wars. How are you, Dave?
I'm good. I can't complain. Didn't do anything uber exciting over the holiday. Oh, it was my granddaughter's, the twins, their 4th birthday.
Wow, they're 4 already?
Yeah. So that was Tuesday was their actual birthday. And we celebrated it Saturday at this place called Rocking the Spectrum. So it's a kids gym, but they gear towards children that are on the spectrum.
Cool.
And not that my granddaughters are, it's just, they've been there before.
Everyone is on this, right? That's why they call it a spectrum. Everyone exists somewhere on the spectrum.
Well, that's true. I'll say that. But she actually heard about, so everyone knows my granddaughter had cancer and went through treatments. And last year for her birthday, it was a place that was recommended by CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, because they have a private room for kids who are going through treatment, right?
That's cool.
Away from, so they're not near other people, they won't get germs or anything like that. So that's what they did last year for the 3rd birthday, and then decided to do it again. So, just have a full party this year for their 4th. And yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's a 4 years old birthday. So take that as you will. I mean, I got to play with my granddaughters, my adult siblings, and that were invited or just standing around bored. But there were other kids there, and my granddaughters had fun. That's the important thing.
Yeah, that's what matters.
And then yes, I watched a movie for the podcast, and I also watched this new show that's on Disney Plus. It's about a character from those Star Wars books that you're talking about, JD.
I want a smart ass answer right now, and I cannot think of one. I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm just
Han Solo's Dice.
And Solo's Dice.
Because at some point, the way things are going, we are going to get a 12-part series about Han Solo's Dice, how they were manufactured, the way they made their way all the way to Han Solo. The first time they were hung up on in the
I consider myself a Star Wars fan, and I didn't even realize that there were dice in the Millennium Falcon until they pointed it out in the sequel trilogy. And then I think Solo's still my least favorite of everything post Disney that Star Wars has given us.
So what did you think of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the new series?
I'll go first. I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm so into this, right?
Yeah.
What's your first impression?
I'm a little mixed on it.
Really?
I have two things that are bothering me. Number one, it's a prequel, or it's a prequel trilogy, technically. So it's a prequel before. So it's between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, right? Everyone should know that at this point who's seen the show. They do a nice job of wrapping up the prequel trilogy right before the show starts. I thought that was cool. It showed you everything that was going to be pertinent to this series. So we've talked about this before. It's one of the issues with Solo. Like, the main characters are not going to die. Nothing bad is really going to happen to them. So you don't feel like there's a lot of stakes in there. And the fact that everyone, spoilers, they use young Princess Leia to goad Obi-Wan out of retirement to go rescue her to try to capture him. Like, Princess Leia is going to be okay. Obi-Wan's going to be okay by the end of the series, right? So it takes something away from the show where like there isn't as much, in my opinion, stakes.
I can't argue that point because you're right. We know where it's going to go with these characters. That doesn't bother me because I think I'm far more interested in execution on this one. Because I don't know where the story is going. It's like when you read anything that involves legacy characters, like I'm pretty sure they're going to make it out okay, no matter what we're watching. And that's why when they don't, it's a huge surprise. So for me, I'm like I always say, I'm far more interested in the characters and the character drama. And I was really happy that I went in pretty spoiler free and didn't know anything because I did not know we were going to get Princess Leia. And I was like, wow, Princess Leia, she just got kidnapped by Flea. Like it was,
Flea was a surprise.
And I'm really again, I did not watch Rebels and I'm really regretting that because my buddy Jeremy was on. He's like, oh man, they're going to have the Inquisitors. That's awesome. And I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know who that is. And now I really regret that because I'm super down. I'm more interested in the dynamic with the third sister and Obi-Wan. That's what's really keeping me interested in this one because I want to know more about those two. I want to know if Vader and Anakin or Vader and Obi-Wan are going to near miss each other the whole series, or if there is some conflict between them to kind of get us where we are in A New Hope. Because like Vader just says, it's a presence I haven't felt since, and he just kind of leaves off with a little ellipses. So there is, and I'm also intrigued by now. Okay, well, John, we're interrupting. John, what did you think of the show? We haven't let you.
No, it's okay. You're on a roll, man. Go.
Well, I just okay. Thank you. What I'm interested in is, and this has bothered me in the sequel trilogy of why, because again, in the extended universe, the out of continuity stuff, the Solo, Leia, and Han had the twins, Jason and Jaina Solo, right? And twins, I always dug that because that's pretty common. If you're twins, there's a good chance you're gonna have twins. Like there's the Markowski family's not done with twins, Dave. There's another set coming to somewhere. So I dug that, and it made sense to me that Luke would name his son Ben. Right, because Luke and Ben Kenobi were tight, right? It was his mentor. It was like a father figure. It never made sense to me as to why Leia and Han would name their son Luke or Ben. That bugged me a little bit because Leia never meets Ben Kenobi, and Han's met a bazillion people in his life. I don't know why Obi-Wan Kenobi would have made such an imprint on him, whereas to name him that. Like if they named the kid Lando, I would have gotten it more. Right, or she would have named him after Bale. Like that would have made more sense.
Yeah, they didn't want another Lando. Trust me.
Well, but that would have made more sense to me than them naming him Ben. I feel like here, perhaps we're doing some groundwork as to what the connection was between Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi and why. Because again, there's like,
well, we know she met him at some point, right? Because when the message she sent to him through R2 was "Help me, Obi-Wan," she must have met him at some point, right?
She says in the recording, "You served my father in the Clone Wars," and never says anything about, "Well, you saved my ass in Coruscant." But at the same time, I'm a firm believer that continuity is your friend until it isn't, and then it can be ignored. Which I got that from Kevin Smith's show. I think it was a Marv Wolfman quote. But I'm a firm believer in that. Is like continuity is a good friend of yours until you find better ways to tell stories. Because again, if we stuck to the to continuity that is never broken, Batman wears a gun and has purple gloves, right? Superman can only jump over a building. Like you said, like things grow and things change, and then like the changes, if they work, stick with the story. If they don't work, like the stuff in Solo, it'll be kind of swept under the rug and we'll forget about it, you know? So I'm very interested to see the relationship between these two develop. And I've spoken for a long time. John, please go ahead.
I have complicated feelings about this. On the one side, on the one side, I really like it because I was very pleasantly surprised that the tone of it really showed what you really think those years for Ben would be like. Monotonous, like his soul kind of dying because he can't do anything because what he's doing is so important. He can't do what they were all saying, what comes naturally to a Jedi, which is to help people that need it. And I mean, just when the foreman gypped that guy out of half of his pay, and you could see it in his eyes that, I'm supposed to be helping this guy and I can't do it. I can't do it because Skywalker. So, on the one side, they struck a really perfect tone for this. On the other hand, to the continuity problem, it's like, I know like the fast rule is, like what you said, continuity is your problem until it isn't. But this is the problem with Disney never giving us anything really new and constantly going back to the same well, and especially giving us all these prequels. It's that the later stuff is just starting to not make sense because, like you said, Leia never mentioned that she'd met him before. And if that's going to be a recurring character, because I don't think that's not going to be a recurring character. If she and Ben have this little adventure off size, there's no way a kid wouldn't forget that.
But who's to say they didn't forget? Who's to say she didn't forget? Like you said, she reaches out to Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's her idea. Like, it's not from Bail Organa. Like, just because we aren't told it doesn't mean it couldn't have happened. And again, I get it. I get if you have to have all the continuity like lined up in a row. But again, we're talking about Star Wars, where they've always kind of played fast and loose with their own continuity. Right?
Luke and Leia.
That's what I'm saying. If the plan is to make Luke and Leia twins, you shouldn't be George should have pulled Irving Kershner off the side and goes, yeah, don't have them kiss. Just trust me on this one.
Well, that's why they got rid of the original poster with Leia wrapped around Luke's leg.
Right, exactly. Like the very the Conan-esque, original Star Wars poster. Yeah, because again, that wasn't in the plan originally. Like if you've read the Star Wars, the original script, which I have, it's okay. What they did was better, but you see the elements for what they would do there, but they're not like, it's not like beat by beat, right? But you see kind of, okay, this is where this came from and this became this. And, so I get it. Like I said, continuity stuff doesn't bug me because again, for me, it's all about characters, and I'm far more interested in characters than I am about making sure the continuity wraps up. But I can't disagree with you. Now the tone thing, I agree, because I totally think this is Unforgiven in Star Wars, right? Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like that's exactly what this is, which again, for me, a guy like me, I'm like, yeah, Unforgiven with Jedi, sweet. So,
by the way, if we're going to talk about this, the toy ship that Kenobi tries to give the uncle, we see that in Star Wars.
The one Luke's playing with. That's that's a nice little nod.
That is a nice touch. I like you definitely, they're trying to establish that he cares about Luke, but he can't let Luke know he's there. Well, not yet, Here's what's
interesting to me is I think this is cool too, is Obi-Wan apparently always wanted to train him, which makes sense because the day he sees Luke, he's like, all right, you're going to be a Jedi. Here's this, here's that. Because he's like ready to roll with it immediately. Like there's no like doubt in Obi-Wan whatsoever. And this kind of sets it up as like, he's been here waiting for that moment.
I also kind of feel like there's something's going to happen in the series that's going to more establish him being like, as soon as he's ready, I'm going to train him, But
is he doing that? Is Ben doing that because he realizes the mistakes he's made and he wants to amend them, or is it because he's just that egotistical?
But that's it's the mistakes. I think that's what they're showing.
Yeah,
the first two episodes show that very much. Like he's got a lot of regret about how things happened in the prequels. Like, and he's very upset with how things are right now. So.
I think opening on Order 66 is the perfect way to like connect that. Because again, we don't have to see that, but that's the baggage that Obi-Wan has on him. Is that in his mind, all these butchered younglings are on him.
third sister was in that first.
Everyone's saying that. I mean, like, if that winds up being true, that's super cool.
So,
and what is it? The main guy, the head guy of that group,
Inquisitor.
The Inquisitor. The Inquisitor. That's not the same one that was in Rebels.
It's not.
No. Well, the head shape's different, and that wasn't just because they couldn't do it.
But I kind of get a feeling they're establishing, like, because it's a Sith kind of organization, like.
But that's a certain.
They kill each other to
that's
go
a very
up
specific race, though, right? And so that Inquisitor isn't the one that was like. I think we just saw him die, and the new Inquisitor will be the one with the elongated body, because that's how that race is.
I'll take your word for it.
That's
I
Rebels.
didn't see Rebels. I'll take your word for it.
So the other thing is, I had kind of had two issues. Like, I think Ian McGregor again proved why people love him as Obi-Wan so far. Like, he's doing.
He's acting.
Job.
He's awesome.
Great. Yeah.
I don't like the actress who's playing the third sister. I don't
really.
She feels very one note to me. Just
her character is one note.
Well, I think it is at the moment. This is the advantage of television to film, is that for the antagonist, you can be one note, and we have time to sit with a character and learn more about them. Like, I think we just haven't gotten there yet. I thought she's been cool. I like evil. I like driven evil. I quite enjoy that.
So I get that, but I just feel
more.
like every scene she just is exactly the same, and it's just like, I don't know.
Because she's a zealot, right? And that's kind of what zealots are.
She's kind of a really smart zealot, because
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I want to see. I hope they do more with her.
I just feel like we're getting a huge emotional range off of all the characters so far, except for her and Flea.
Yep.
But Flea, I don't expect a lot from Flea.
But again, with your lead antagonist, I mean, like, you don't get a lot. I mean, realistically, look back to Star Wars. What did we get off of Darth Vader, other than a cool costume? Like, Darth Vader is the definition of a one-note cackling villain, and it's not till Empire that we start to get some depth into him. Right. And by Jedi, you've got a fully formed character, but it took a while. Like, Vader is very much like Boba Fett. Like, Boba Fett, there's nothing to Boba Fett in those first three movies, right? At all. Vader in the first Star Wars movie, he killed Anakin Skywalker. Obi-Wan trained him. He's going to work for a dude who blows up a planet. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. That's all we have in Vader, and it takes time, especially with villains. Like, when you're dealing with characters, like, you can't. If the emotional arc of the story relies on the villain, then the villain is the center of the story, and it becomes an anti-hero story, which is a much different story than telling Obi-Wan's story. Like, my mind, like I said, I compared to Unforgiven. She's Curly Bill right now, right? Curly Bill is pretty much a cackling villain. So let's see what they do with her. And I think based on the fact that, like John said, that she's a youngling in the early, because I've heard that too before. So cool. Let's see if that's it. Then it's some interesting. This could be why she hates the Jedi, because they left her to die.
Well, and that was most of the Inquisitors were, a lot of them were former Jedi. and the younglings that they were collected and reprogrammed, basically. So
very cool origin. So I want to see. I don't disagree. I like her performance, though. Like, I think she's believable, and I like the idea of this pissed off, angry woman in the Star Wars universe, because, like, we don't get that a lot, especially on the heel side. So right now I'm into it, but I get the criticism.
Yeah. And then what's his name? Uncle Owen.
Joel Edgerton. Joel Edgerton.
Yes. I'm glad he got to actually play Uncle Owen.
He's actually a pretty good actor.
Guy, just as opposed to the guy standing there at the end of Revenge of the Sith holding a baby.
Because actually, it turned out they actually cast a pretty good actor. It's the same dude, and it turned out he actually had a pretty good career after this. So it's nice to go back to him. Now, there's a character that was very super one note in the original Star Wars. You're not going to go be a Jedi. I'm not going to let that happen. And now we're going to get some. Well, of course we know why. Like, when you look back on it, all of Uncle Owen's stuff makes sense. But at the time, super one note. So I think Joel Edgerton's going to do some cool stuff. I like what he did originally. Like, he could have just been like, "Yo, Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi is right there," because he knows, but he doesn't. Like, he nearly dies, and he stays cool, and he's like, "I didn't do it for you," but I mean, he kind of did. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. I'm quite enjoying it. I like Obi-Wan as a butcher too.
I think it's funny to watch Mr. Organa to age backwards.
He does look good for his age. Let's say that.
I know, but he's aging backwards.
Well, I mean,
in the movies. He's noticeably older now than he is.
This is something I was saying too. What Revenge of the Sith is 2000 what? 5. So we're 17 years later. It's only supposed to be 10 years, but Ian McGregor has also aged 17 years, not.
But he
10
doesn't
years.
look. He doesn't look that bad. It almost you'd expect him to be hard. He's been living out in the desert for 10
right.
years.
What I'm getting at is he definitely looks older than just 10 years has passed. He's showing his age. Nothing wrong with that. And you can also say, well, he had to live on a planet with 2 suns. It's going to age him
in the desert. No sunscreen.
In 8 years, we're supposed to believe he's Alec Guinness.
So okay, here's the thing. Here's what's ironic. There's only 10 years difference between them in real life.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Alec Guinness is only 10 years older than Ewan McGregor is right now in A New Hope.
Dealing with sand people will really turn your hair gray.
Well, just people. I mean, people age differently now, man. The 70s were hard on humans, like
the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, people just don't. It's just we eat better.
We've talked about this before.
Preservatives. We're preserving ourselves.
Yeah, we have talked about this before. Especially with women, because normally you'd think grandma by the time you're 60. Half the actresses we're looking at were like, there couldn't be more than 45.
Michelle was at home today and she was watching Far From Home, and Marissa Tomei shows up. And again, I'm like, man, Marissa Tomei, 57 years old.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, she's like Nolan Ryan out there, still chucking those fastballs. Should be way beyond her prime, and yet, God bless her.
Well, this is kind of interesting. We're getting towards the Batman Beyond years. Remember, 60's the new 30 in Batman Beyond, or that was in one of the episodes where Batman with Terry McGinnis was in the Justice League Unlimited. But I mean, that's starting to get true.
That's true.
Don't snap your fingers right now.
Oh, I put on Andy's Infinity Gauntlet while we were doing the show, and I didn't realize I did it.
That's usually how it happens before half the population goes.
And then so what did we think of obviously he's going to be in more episodes, but the quick cameo of Hayden Christensen at the very end of episode 2.
Looks spooky.
Yeah.
So I have
his acting in that was better than any of the rest of his work.
Shattered Glass is a good movie, and he's pretty good in it. Like, his career was ruined by angry people. I mean, it's not fair to judge anyone's performance based on how they were in a George Lucas film. The man did not like working with actors. It was not his strength. And he just casted the first Star Wars movie. Like, let's be real.
Right.
I'm wondering what they're going to do with him. Right. Because it's not, Vader's never been about the dude underneath the cowl. Right. It's always been James Earl Jones's voice and, David Prowse moving dramatic and being large. So I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Hayden Christensen. I'm actually really curious.
Yes, no, so am I. Are we going to get a scene with Vader not wearing his mask talking to Obi-Wan?
But he shouldn't, that wouldn't happen, right?
He can't breathe. He'll die.
Well, no. I mean, canonically speaking, there's no way they meet until Luke brings him.
Not necessarily, because it's a presence I haven't felt since.
Yeah. He doesn't say since the Clone Wars. He doesn't say since
when last we met. I was but a learner. Now I am the master. I mean, that could still be any point.
But he considers himself the master now, right?
Does he? We don't know what's in his head.
Right.
Man, he fucking hates sand. You want to talk about stuff that Vader hates? Fucking sand. God, does he hate sand?
Desert planet. All right. That's why he built the Death Star, because desert planets, you can take them out all at once.
That's why someone's like, this would be a terrible idea. They didn't hide Luke very hard. They gave him to his family. And I'm like, yeah, but he hated that planet. It's like when you leave home, it's like somebody like, I'm never going back home again. And they never do. And Vader strikes me as that guy who's like, I know, I hate Tatooine. I hate sand. Now I'm all robot-y and it's going to get in my gears. I'm not going back there. It would. Tatooine would be the worst place for Darth Vader.
I'll never get out of my cape.
So here's something that always bothered me about the continuity of Star Wars, and I'm kind of hoping they semi-address it in this show.
Yes.
Anakin Skywalker knows his name.
He knows his own name?
He knows his own name, right? He knows his last name is Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he has a aunt and uncle on Tatooine that are still
Why
alive.
didn't he ever go take them out or whatever?
Why did he care?
No, not that. now that we know the Inquisitors have been on that planet and even talked to Owen, like,
but they don't
somehow. Owen Lars. It's not Owen Skywalker. It's Owen Lars.
Yeah. She didn't know. Third sister didn't know that she was talking to Owen Lars.
Right. She's some dude.
Okay.
This is like 4 degrees of separation at that point.
I'm just saying, like, how did the name Luke Skywalker never get to Darth Vader until?
Well, how would it? How would anyone know who Luke Skywalker was until that? Because they actually addressed this in, oh God, I forget what book it was. I think it's Heir to the Empire. They address it, or maybe this book I'm about to read, Shadows. I'm thinking of Shadows. Vader never learns about it until after the Death Star blew up, because he goes flippity flying and it takes him like weeks to get back on course. And then they're like, oh yeah. Then the story's oh yeah, a kid named Luke Skywalker blew it up, and he's like, what? Again, and then he figures out, because again, he thinks Luke's dead. He thinks the kids are dead. He never knew there was 2. Padme died, and they said the baby died. So he's been like, kid's dead, and he wrote it off. He never. Why go looking for someone you don't know exists?
True. I don't know. I just always thought it was weird.
Dave, you might have fathered a child in your youth when you were sowing your young oats, and you would never know they were there.
There was a meme about that too, though.
But again, it's like if
there's a meme about me fathering a child.
I need to see it. That'll be the show image for the week.
Just no. There's a meme about Han Solo, about that whole situation with the first Death Star. It's like, what the hell did Darth Vader think about Han Solo when he showed up? And Han Solo shows up with his son, his daughter, his droids.
He's like, who's that guy in the vest?
Yeah, who the hell is he?
That's both my old 2 droids. The Wookiee that I saved, my old mentor. Who's that guy?
And my son and my daughter. Yeah. What the fuck is going on here?
Who's the dude in the vest? Yeah, that's true. There is
dude in the vest.
Show title. No, that is funny, because this is the problem with prequels too, is that everyone tries so hard to connect them to the source material. Like when they're on the Death Star, Vader has to just be bombarded with, oh my God, who isn't here? You know, it's like a high school reunion for Darth Vader.
Yeah. Here it is. Han Solo showed up on Vader's Death Star hours after Alderaan was destroyed. On his ship, he carried Vader's son, Vader's daughter, Vader's astromech, the protocol droid Vader built as a kid, the Wookiee who saved Ahsoka's life, and literal Obi-Wan Kenobi back from the dead. Vader must have been very, who in the Mustafar was that fucker in the vest? Then something like a day later, he sneaks up on Vader, one of the greatest pilots the galaxy's ever seen, in what is essentially a heavily modified 18-wheeler, and shoots him in the ass.
That's true. The problem with Vader, though, is he's so like laser focused on taking this kid out that he just kind of, I mean, isn't that Vader's story? Is he's the Jedi, that he's the greatest Jedi that could have been and never really was.
Right.
So yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like if Vader ever lives up to his promise, 1, Luke never cuts his hand off. 2, the Emperor never pulls the fast one on him that Vader should have seen coming for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then
because that's the way every one of those relationships end.
Yeah, how you're trying to do it yourself.
Yep.
You're trying to get your kid to do it so you could pull the wool over his eyes. And you're like, oh my God, my master turned on me. How did I not see this coming? Like, again, Anakin Skywalker, kind of a putz.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole series. I mean, like, the whole prequel trilogy is about, yeah, this guy really could have been something, but he was too much of a whiny bitch to ever get there.
Yep.
So, based on what we've seen so far. Oh, wait, before I ask this question, one last thing. Shout out to Ian McGregor's daughter.
Yeah, she's in it.
To play a character trying to sell your father drugs.
Isn't that weird?
Difficult.
Isn't that weird? Like, as a director, you're like, all right, I'm going to challenge you in your first role. Sell your old man some dope. Yeah. That's got to be tricky.
Yes. So do we think we're going to see Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force ghost in this series?
I do.
Probably.
Okay.
Because according to the apocryphal legend, that's how Obi-Wan learned how to do it, was from Qui-Gon.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, because it's like they made sure that they included Yoda saying that in the wrap up of the prequel trilogy right before the show starts, and then he keeps saying Qui-Gon, keeps calling out to him, like, so
Qui-Gon. So I imagine if they haven't talked before, Luke's or Obi-Wan's got some reason to. Hey, and at least we got off Tatooine this time. Right? Yes. Like, we're finally off of Tatooine, and we're Coruscant is, for as cool as Coruscant is, we don't really ever spend a lot of time there. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with this. I was also okay with Flea. I couldn't get over that they cast Flea.
Yes, he didn't last long though. So.
No, I mean it is Flea. But he's got such a great face, right?
Yes,
he's so unmistakable.
To play a character like that, he definitely has a good face.
I mean, yeah, he was awesome. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I think that's another thing too. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad actor or anything, but he's not an Oscar caliber actor.
Oh, it's Flea.
So they did such a great job of utilizing him just enough to make it work.
I think that's the perfect kind of casting, right? Is like because as great of a guitar player as Flea is, what's his other most famous role in a movie?
I don't know what.
He's Needles from Back to the Future.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So like if you see him on screen, he's got this weird like snarly dog face, right? Where it says a lot, right? So he could have had a career as a character actor, just doing little bit parts with his interesting face, and like right away without once he go over, oh hey Flea, he's a bad guy, right?
Yeah,
true, so true.
Hey guys, I've had this weird like crisis of conscience where I haven't been able to watch any of these Marvel series, right? I can't bring myself to watch any of them lately, right? It's been a struggle. Like you guys know, that's become like a bit on this show. Obi-Wan, I was literally had Disney on waiting for it to start. Like I had Disney Plus on, like counting down. I had it on for 10 minutes before it was actually activatable. I think something hit me. I think I'm tired of the Marvel stuff. I think there's too much of it. I really do.
I think
I'm a little burnt out.
Well, I mean, Morbius. So that would.
I didn't see it. Morbius has become Twitter's ultimate meme, and I'm not participating in that because people are gonna fuck around and get that thing and gets the sequel greenlit, and then everyone's gonna have to go, oh shit, this is on all of us, and I am not ready for that responsibility.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that I'm kind of like the movies I'm excited about, but as far as the series goes, I think I'm kind of burnt out.
You know what? I won't disagree with that. Like I can understand, but I do want to see She-Hulk because I like the character, so I'm kind of hoping they do justice to her, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's something intriguing about that because it's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the fundamental, the tangential connection to Miss Marvel, but I imagine we're going to talk about it, so I'm probably going to check that out of a curiosity's sake.
And that might be different enough from the other Marvel stuff that it might be interesting.
It might be. And again, I really like the Moon Knight character in concept, but I couldn't bring myself to hit play. And I don't know why. But again, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm like, I'm in. And there's not even a moment of hesitation. I wonder if it's because there's not as much, I don't feel like it's bombarded with Star Wars as I feel with Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Like there's so much breathing room between the series other than the cartoons, but like they had the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, then Mandalorian 2.5 Book of Boba Fett, but like there's a year between them, and then Obi-Wan, it's 6 months, but it's not like one series ended and then the next month the next series came out, so it's starting to feel like homework.
Yeah, with Marvel it really does. And I think that like when given homework, I kind of I don't want to do it. I think that's part of the feeling too, is I feel like I have to do all this stuff.
Because you got She-Hulk, you got Miss Marvel coming.
Yeah.
You've got, what are the other ones that are coming? Series-wise, there's a couple more.
There's a Secret Invasion. There's like...
Yes, that's right.
There's a lot. I honestly, I've kind of checked out a little bit, Like I still, like, again, I love Doctor Strange. I've only seen it once, though. Like, usually I go see those movies at least twice at the theater.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Though I do find it interesting, too. Someone created an image online, and it's like, it's the MCU. It's the original Avengers standing in the background, kind of like half faded, and then Kate Bishop, She-Hulk.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
standing in front of their counterparts, and they're like, oh, and everyone's like, oh, the next Avengers, and I'm like, have you read a comic? Like, like I get what you're excited, but they were never all on the same team together, and I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going Young Avengers. I think that's what we're headed towards. We're not going to an all-female team with, So
I think we've reached an interesting phenomenon too, where there's people who aren't like us, who came up with the comics, right? Who have this love affair with the written books, right? Where there's people that are MCU fans, right? And they're on the journey with these characters, and this is their touchstone, right? So to them, these legacy characters are a natural inclination. Whereas we're so jaded, right? By years of seeing like well, this is the next step. Now we're pulling it back. Well, this is the next. Now we're pulling it back. They don't have that, and they can't have that because Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. are like, we're done. So they're going to get these like generational shifts that we comic book fans, by definition, cannot get. And when they do give them to us, we think we want them for a while, and then the sales plummet, and they have to bring back the real characters, right? So there's people that really say, yes, that is the next Avengers. And guys like us are like, that's not the event. I mean, because that's just how we're programmed. That's how we were educated by, comic books in the 20th century to be like, no, the Avengers is Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and any variation thereof,
Well, this was always going to have a time limit on it.
It has to,
right?
because you're dealing with real people. Yeah.
Like we're gonna get to maybe 10 years from now, maybe 15, and then they're going to have to. I think they can make it maybe 15 years, and then they're going to have to. I don't know. They'll have to see what do they do at that point, right? Because
I'm with you, John.
Everything's going to make so much money that they're going to want to keep making movies, but they're going to have to do some kind of reset.
Right. The problem
they
is,
have to give it 10 years.
They were super ambitious, and they were successful with it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're dealing with real people who don't want to play these characters their whole lives, people that are going to age out of these roles.
Well, the CGI is getting better,
and they can't just they can't just.
But who are we
third tier characters to make it work?
You're right, Dave. Who are we talking about though? Who owns Marvel?
Disney.
What does Disney do? You just make another one with the same characters, right? There's been a lot of guys do the voice of Goofy. There's been a lot. I've seen many an iteration of Winnie the Pooh. Like, oh God, I don't want to talk about it. There's a horror Winnie the Pooh movie now because I
saw that.
My heart just like sank and fell.
He's out of copyright. He's public domain.
Public domain now, and it's just like God. I hate everybody. I hate
Winnie the Pooh is going to be selling you used cars soon, man.
And apparently, there's an image of like they're standing over Eeyore's grave because Piglet and Pooh ate him.
Because they're mad because Christopher Robin went to college and left them, so now they're on a murderous rampage. And some edgelord thought that was funny, right? And like, I'm gonna do this because I got something to say. Fuck Disney, and it just
But Winnie the Pooh wasn't even a Disney creation. They just
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that, which is the only reason why you can do that. But again, like I said, for me, like part of it is my little boy has a big connection with Pooh, so I just don't like this. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying I don't like it. But yeah, it's whatever. But like what Disney does is they'll redo it. Right? Look what they're doing now. They're making live action movies of all their greatest hits.
Yeah.
That's what they've done for the last decade because that's what Disney does. So I imagine, John, you're saying 15? I'm a pessimist. I don't think it goes that long. I think the moment the grosses start going down and all this stuff, which again, you've got a little while, but the moment the grosses start slipping, we'll start them all over again.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man has shown us that people love it. And we've got a multiverse, so you can just turn your attention to a different multiverse.
I know. And the problem with the Spider-Man thing is we know that they could reboot it. Like they could just take 2-3 years off and then reboot the whole thing. And it's like, at that point, we'll be out.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I got a little kid. Like, and part of me too wants him to discover all of this stuff. Because again, it's getting more different. I mean, like the MCU fans are getting to be as bad as us, where you have to watch this and 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 this to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And eventually, like I said, like we know when continuity becomes when it becomes a burden, you abandon it.
Yeah.
So I mean that has to happen eventually. We're not there yet, but
we'll be there soon.
I bet it's coming sooner than people think.
It's gonna be hard for them. Just one last point. It's gonna be harder for them because going from Iron Man to Endgame, how do you top that?
You try again.
Yeah, but they can't tell the same story again.
No, but I mean, Batman,
that was done so well.
It was. You got to do it. You got to do something different. Like Batman. Look at all the different iterations of Batman we've had.
Yeah,
and they've all been pretty good. Like with some, by and large, because again, the Clooney Batman is technically the Keaton Batman. So I mean, that's one whole continuity. And then we had the Nolan, and then the Affleck, and now we're having the Pattinson. And they've all been fine. So Marvel could do it. Like there's another guy out there who could be Iron Man. I don't know who it is, but I mean, like he's there. Tom Cruise is never going to die. Maybe he'll get his option.
Well, the Church of Scientology will just, take out his clone. And
well, he's a method actor, right? And he played Lestat, the vampire. And since then, he has not aged. So, you do the math.
That's a little too method, I think.
That's a great idea, though. I need to write that down.
There's a Black Mirror episode for you.
Is there? Oh, I thought you were being serious.
No. That sounds like a Black Mirror episode, doesn't it?
But just a stuck to get that. Again, I'm always of a book, like an actor that is going to play a vampire. So he has to find a vampire.
Speaking of great ideas, think.
And then he finds the guys from What We Do in the Dark.
I think it's time to do a little social media madness.
An hour in? Yes, why not?
Yeah, we're completely off script at this point.
Well, no, we talked about what was important.
Yeah,
oh, right.
I'm
good. Yes, that's right. We don't have to talk about the other thing, right?
Stop.
Oh, wow, you hated it that much.
We're just do a couple real quick. First thing I want to say thank you to Smash Trivia. They have contributed to Social Media Madness a couple times. They're a podcast dedicated to all things The Incredible Hulk, of course.
That's cool.
And they gave us a shout out on their podcast this week. So yes, I wanted to say thank you and tell you guys to go check them out. If you're a Hulk fan, you will love the show. So then this one I had to include, I don't think we talked about it last week, Randy Savage from the Cult 45 podcast. It's too late because the book is written, but he came up with a solution to your problem, JD. So he was saying, so I was thinking of those problems, and if he were insane and thought he was frolicking with creatures and begins not beings not of the world. Wow, sorry. He could just tell people his name is O Great T.
Okay.
Yeah, gonna leave that one alone.
So
he could be O Great T in feudal Japan. I think that'll work.
Yes. I'm gonna let it. I think I'm just gonna leave that one alone for this time. It's too bad too because that was a huge money making tier in the last Kickstarter campaign. I still expect you $250, Jon. Kidding.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to die in every one of your books that I can.
I have to be creative. I have to be creative with this one. I was thinking about a shipwreck, right, with some white people. Oh!
What?
Oh, wait. Okay, vampires, they have to come from Europe. Okay, I can make this work. Hang on. I got to jot this down.
This is going to be fun.
Okay.
Go on, Dave. Let's get some of these over with because we got a lot more to go, and we're already like an hour in for crying out loud.
Skibberty Post, who we have shouted out a couple times on the show, say, I disagree with some of their assessments pertaining to the new Batman movie, but thanks for the shout out.
Okay.
You're welcome, I guess.
It's funny, like
that's a hard one to quantify. Like there's not going to be a consensus on that.
I've been hearing more and more people who just don't like the Patterson Batman movie at all.
When you get something super popular, there's always it's like Newton's law, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Everybody comes out and says, this movie's great. You're going to have some people, no, it wasn't,
Yeah.
But I appreciate you listening to our show, man. Thank you.
She-Hulk trailer, of course, Randy Savage chimed in again. I'm on board with superhero Ally McBeal and really hope every episode she brings a new, D-list villain. Get a cameo from Krill, the Absorbing Man, and it needs to be funny as hell to ignore the CGI.
I mean, that was pretty much the comic, right? That was what Dan Slott did with her, so
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that is where we're going. And then
there's a Netflix anime one, I think, for Jon specifically.
Yes.
Anime?
Oh, it's Gorilla. Oh, I got it.
Oh, this guy.
It's Gorilla Brain. It's right. They don't treat 98% of their anime in spotlight role anyway. It just appears, and you're like, well, shit, I don't know what this came out.
No, that's true.
That is true, right? They don't
unless you knew about Comey Can't Communicate. Yeah, and I heard it because I'm always checking anime circles, but like from Gaguk on YouTube. The only reason I heard about that was because of that, because I'm in that group, but you never would know it. And Netflix, the algorithm on Netflix knows that I like anime and animation because every time I go on there, that's all I get. Even though I've desperately tried to redo my searches to give it the idea that I like other things too, and yet it still never came up for me until I heard about it from some of the YouTubers I follow.
It's all about the algorithm. We are all slaves to the algorithm.
And the algorithm is stupid.
Algorithms are stupid.
Obey the algorithm.
Good. That sounds like a 9 Inch Nails album.
Well, that is it for Social Media Madness.
Yay.
There was much celebrating from Jon. All right. So if you want to be part of Social Media Madness, follow us on social media. Here's our good friend D Square to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for hashtag GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
Thanks for that, Don. And don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with some news.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, boys and girls, we are back. We have a couple things to talk about. The first one, of course, we got a second trailer for Love and Thunder, which gave us our first look at Christian Bale as Gorr the God Killer. So Butcher, I'm sorry. Good Gorr the God Butcher. Butcher Killer, come on.
He's a butcher.
He only cuts the best pieces from the gods.
Much like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh my God, yes. So,
Also
did you guys see the trailer, and what did you think of this characterization of Gorr?
I love more I see this trailer, the happier I am that I like Taika Waititi's interpretation of Thor. Looks fun. It doesn't bother me. Like people are like, oh, he doesn't look at all like Gorr. Where's the Where's the tendrils? Where's the tendrils? Oh, who cares? He'll be fine. It's Christian Bale.
John?
These are the same people that expect that every time they see a new Star Trek alien that just has a different wrinkle on their forehead and their nose, it's like, oh yeah, that's a completely different thing. But they want the tentacles in a Marvel movie. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. You know, this is a big thing, right? I mean, like in Marvel, Gorr the God Butcher is going to be. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be the end of Thor, though, isn't it? Like, do you think this is it?
No, Thor
for
beats
Hemsworth.
him. Thor beats him.
No. I mean, but is this Hemsworth's swan song? Is this his last movie?
I don't think so. Because I mean, Jane Foster, if they go by the comic, which Marvel does usually, it's Jane Foster's swan song.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She's got it's in the comic. This isn't a spoiler. She has the Odin force to stave off her cancer.
Yeah.
Right. And every time she uses it, it gets worse.
It's
right.
a little bit worse. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So
but,
I imagine that's where they're going. I mean, I don't know. Chris Hemsworth doesn't seem like he's bored playing Thor yet.
But she's not. I mean, she's going to come back in the comics
eventually. She might be there now. I have no idea. I haven't read it in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah. And another thing is, there's a reason Jane Foster was only in 2 movies and then wasn't around anymore. Like,
yeah, she didn't want to. She's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, she didn't want to do it. Like, so it's not like she's going to want to keep playing this character. I think it's, they backed the Brinks truck up to tell this story. And probably it was like, oh, I die at the end? Okay, yeah.
Well, fine. She probably likes the idea of actually playing a superhero as opposed to just
being the girlfriend.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I would be surprised if the character doesn't die at the end, because I think there's an opportunity, especially the marketing for this movie has been very upbeat.
Uh-huh.
It would not surprise me if we had a bit of a dour ending.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the tone of the trailer kind of sells that too.
Well, it's like it's been so upbeat that it's like, we have, and here's our villain, Gorr the God Butcher. It's like, things might not be all hunky dory.
Well, the theme song is "Sweet Child of Mine," right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it? So
I'm just kind of curious. Again, I've said this before with the last trailer, like how they're going to explain how she got the power, where the hammer came back from.
The hammer looks like it was crazy glued back together again. So
because it was, we'll get that. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, and someone did point this out, and I thought it was cool. Like when she's attacking, and then she hits multiple characters. It's actually the hammer breaking back apart, and it's pieces of the hammer hitting all the villains.
Oh, that's neat.
Like if you watch it in slow motion, you can see it like come apart and become separate pieces and hits them and then comes back together. So
actually, another little interesting thing with the cinematography is every time Gorr is on screen, his part of the screen is in black and white. You can see when he's fighting Valkyrie that she's in color and he isn't. And every time she hits him, color returns to that part of the screen.
There is something...
It's kind of weird, but I kind of like it.
There's definitely something weird about this movie and the cinematography. Like, there are definitely scenes... And again, Marvel's known for changing stuff up from the trailer to the actual release of the movie, so who knows? But there's scenes where it feels like he's in a dream world. Like... It's overly saturated with color, and he's, especially when they first show him in that costume, he's got one.
I think that's supposed to be that way too, because I want, again, like you said, if Gorr is going to be like desaturating a lot of the scene, you want the stuff where he's not in to be overly saturated to create that visual dichotomy. So whether or not that works within the story, or if it's just like, because a lot of times color theory movies, they don't really point it out to you, they just do it, right? Because it hits you on more of it's supposed to hit you on more of a subtextual level. Let's see what they do with it.
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Matrix is one of the first, actually.
But that one scene in the trailer though, where Zeus blows away his robe and all the female goddesses just kind of faint.
And my wife. My wife.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I was like, damn.
I'm gonna be when we go see it. I'm gonna be ready to catch her because Chris Hemsworth penises will make her faint.
I do declare, I'm feeling the vapes.
It's the thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah. Anyway, damn Chris Hemsworth.
Stupid, sexy Hemsworth.
Which one?
Is that like stupid, sexy Flanders?
Yes, it's exactly where I got that. I prefer Chris to Liam. I'm more into muscles myself. That's me.
All right, moving on. We got a few things because this weekend was Star Wars Celebration, so we got a few pieces of news out of that. Starting with Jon Watts is directing a new series, Skeleton Crew, and Jude Law will be starring in it.
This sounds fun. This is with the kids, right? The kids hijack a ship.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah, that's okay. So let's say that up front. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff that's announced that's coming.
I could very easily burn out on Star Wars.
I was going to say, are we going to burn out on Star Wars now?
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, like, this is kind of what Disney's going to do is they're going to throw stuff at you until you're tired of it and then pull it back.
Isn't this like kind of the Star Wars answer to Star Trek Prodigy? Like it seems kind of like the same scenario.
I don't know what that is, so I'm going to say sure.
Oh, okay. So the series follows a group of teenagers who use an abandoned starship to search for adventure.
You know what it sounds like to me? Do you ever see? Oh God, what was that movie? The movie with the little kids was Ethan Hawke was one of them where they make a spaceship and it goes and they meet like a Martian. You know what I'm talking about? Travelers. I think it was called Travelers. Give me a minute.
What would it say that again?
It was a movie from the 80s. It was about kids. They make a spaceship and it goes into space.
Oh no, I've seen that. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I think it's called Travelers.
It sounds so familiar.
I know I've seen it.
Ethan Hawke is in it.
2011,
no, it's from like
1985
or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. Explorers.
That's it.
I knew it was in the back of my brain somewhere.
There's a lot of stuff back there, John.
Yeah, I know. I gotta organize that someday. But yeah, Explorers, that was it.
Yeah,
it was 85.
Yeah, the kids have the spaceship and they go into space and they meet aliens and stuff like that. It's fun. Yeah, it's Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix. It's good times.
Yeah. I mean, and the last thing I saw Jude Law in was Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's true. There was a time when Jude Law was in everything.
Yes.
And then he was not. I don't know if that was by choice or, he just.
It could be by choice. He probably was in so much that, and not even like little things. He was in a lot of big
everything.
Stuff too.
Yeah, he was in everything.
So like he probably makes enough residuals where he doesn't have to work.
Oh, and he's Dumbledore.
Well, that's true too. I didn't even think of that. I haven't watched any of those.
Me neither. That's why I'm looking at his IMDb right now. I'm like, oh yeah, he was Dumbledore.
That's right. So yeah, but yeah. Well, now with that, he probably never has to work again. So he can pick what he wants to do. So I want to be in Star Wars somehow.
I mean, who doesn't want to be in
As every actor says at some point.
Pretty much, even if it's a bit part.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like apparently like Marvel, if you're in the game long enough, you too will get to play a Star Wars character.
And then, all right, moving on. One of the other things that came out, we got the trailer for Andor, which feels like it's another prequel to a prequel. So
yeah, I'm a little bit more on this one, mainly because I really like Rogue One a lot the first time I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've come to think that I really like Rogue One because the last 10 minutes were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of the movie is just kind of
It's just all it is set up to get to the last 10 minutes. That's all it is.
And they weren't going to do that 10 minutes in the movie originally. And again, like I don't love the Cassian Andor character. I don't know. Like I didn't like any of
It's just
Rogue
weird
One
to watch
enough.
a show about a character you know is going to die. You know,
I don't, Dave, we're
eventually.
all going to die. So I mean, this
Yeah,
isn't.
but you know what I mean. Like he doesn't have a long shelf life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's interesting. It doesn't look that interesting to me. So I mean, like, I don't know. This feels like a Star Wars thing that I could skip personally.
I'm telling you, we're going to get the story about the dice someday. I mean, it's just they're just mining the hell out of these prequels.
I have a feeling it's going to be like a 6-part series, and it's going to end where his character's part started in Rogue One.
Probably.
You know?
That's exactly what it's going to do. Like the last scene of the last episode of this is going to be literally tied directly into that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene where he was being chased. I don't remember. It's been so while since I've seen Rogue One.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Helped someone that was being chased, something like that, and then it was just like, oh, okay, and that's how they like introduce his character to you in the show, in the movies.
The last 10 minutes were great.
Yeah,
that's all you could say. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, and there's nothing in this trailer that makes me like, oh, I definitely want to see this. I'm sorry, you know. And again, for as good as the last 10 minutes of Rogue One is, there's nothing in this. It's like, oh yeah, I got to see it because of that.
I agree.
But you might have to watch Rebels there, JD.
Yeah, I'm actually considering it now. Like I'm actually, again, my buddy Jeremy's like, man, you're really gonna like this show. So if I can get some time, I think I'm gonna start. Should I watch Clone Wars first though, John?
Should you watch what?
Clone Wars first.
Yeah, Clone Wars is worth it, and so is Rebels.
I didn't love season 1. It reminded me, and again, they say I heard the format changes, but again, those first few episodes of season 1, it feels like, remember Starship Troopers, where they have it feels like a big marketing, like a campaign, like a March to War video.
Wasn't the first one though? First season, like Gennady Tartakov?
No. Well, not that one. I'm talking about the that was a different show. That was a different. It was. That was a different Clone Wars show. I meant the computer with Ahsoka.
Oh, okay,
right?
Okay, yeah.
The first season of that show, they had this. It was very much like Starship Troopers, where the whole thing is, they're marching to war, and I didn't like the storytelling device.
It gets better.
That's what everyone says. The first season kind of turned me off. So I'm debating jumping into the second season and just going from there. But I just need time.
So the reason I say that is at Fan Celebration, they were treated to a trailer for Ahsoka, which was not released online. We haven't gotten that in a long time where there was something that was just shown at a convention that wasn't released. And in it, there is several characters from Rebels in the show.
That's going to be awesome. I'm going to have to rewatch the last 2 seasons of Rebels.
So the droid, what's the droid's name in the show? The little orange
Chopper.
droid? Chopper is in it. And I'm reading through this real quick. Hera Syndulla, who's the captain of the Ghost, is in it. And apparently they make reference to looking for Ezra, who is the main character in Rebels, who's the Jedi.
Yeah, because he was lost. And not just him. When he went out with God, the blue, I can't believe the name of the general, the general.
Oh, that's right.
Who made like everybody's lives miserable and was like one of the smartest. Well, he wasn't actually portrayed very well in Rebels.
And isn't he? They make mention to him in Mandalorian. She's looking for him.
Grand Moff Tarkin, not Tarkin.
No, not Tarkin.
It was,
Thawne?
Thawne, yeah, Thawne.
Oh.
He took Thawne out. Well, they both disappeared at the same time. So it's assumed that he's still fighting Thawne in
somewhere.
I don't know wherever the hell they went. So, but yeah.
So basically, it sounds like
Thawne could be done better because he wasn't as smart as he's really supposed to be. But you know, if they bring Ezra back, Thawne's coming too.
But that's what it sounds like. That they're like, you had to be familiar with Rebels to understand what's going on in Osaka. So,
yeah, well, Thrawn's gonna be cool actually if he comes back. That's like they could use that to reintroduce him into the universe, and if they do him right, like he's a big bad.
So how do you handle that, right? How do you handle bringing back a character like Ezra, who is a fan favorite, who is a Jedi, without killing him off again? Because by the time
you bring him back and he gets his own series, that's basically how it should work. Because you don't want to take the spotlight away from Ahsoka. So
right,
he's worthy of his own series.
It's believed by the time we get to A New Hope, Luke and Vader are the only 2 Jedi left.
Well, yeah, but that's because, I mean, everybody else is either in hiding or missing, like Ezra, like completely missing. Nobody knows where he is. So
right. So I don't know. I don't know how. Like, what's the writer think?
I didn't watch Rebels,
but I'm just saying, like, just from being a slave to continuity versus ignoring continuity.
Well,
kind
yeah,
of aspects.
but that's the thing. This is fine with continuity because, yeah, they kept saying that they were the only ones left. It's a big universe,
right? I mean, like you think, right? We think they're the only ones left,
right? And that didn't stop Force-sensitive people from being born.
No, that's true. But here's the thing, though: who's the showrunner for Rebels? Dave Filoni. Who's in control of the Star Wars universe right now? Dave Filoni. So I mean, like,
so he's had this idea, and he's probably fit it very nicely into the continuity. So
it's his continuity at this point.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. I'm sure I have to watch it.
I mean, there was some Rebel there were some of the characters were in the Rogue One.
Probably. Oh, I saw Guerrera. Yeah.
Right, and Chopper, you can see Chopper in the hangar.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's whatever.
Well, R2D2 was in Kenobi. So in one of the scenes, if you look at one of the scenes, you see him in the background off to the right.
I saw C-3PO, but I didn't see R2.
No, R2 was there too. Off in the background to the right. It's like for a second or two, he's there. I don't know if he was watering a plant or hanging something.
I mean, it makes sense. Like he has to. They're with him.
Yeah, they have him.
So they are there. Yep. So yeah, we should see them.
I guess they didn't want to give him as much of a scene because look what happened in Mandalorian when he popped up. Like everybody cheered. That
true.
They're going to save him for something.
Yeah, but no, I mean, and that's the thing. Like C-3PO, you see for a second, and he doesn't have a line. He's just there. Which makes me wonder, did they not want to pay Anthony Daniels to do his voice for this?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
It's going to be cool.
It's going to be cool. JD will have to watch Rebels.
Yeah, I'll start.
All right. Well, that is all the news I brought. I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to add before we get to our main topic.
Just the redoing of the She-Hulk CGI.
Good. So, they never should have released it without finished CGI.
Especially if it only took a week to clean it up.
Yeah. It was a poor decision.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we actually said that since the show started, that yes, if you go watch the trailer now on Disney Plus, they've cleaned up the CGI, which is weird.
Yep. It looks a lot better. So, I mean, that's what I would have expected the trailer to look like the first time.
And we're a week later. Like, why didn't they just wait to release it?
That's what I'm saying is like, why let that be the narrative?
Were they trying to get buzz before Star Wars Celebration came out and all the news for that stuff started hitting? But
it's Disney. It's all
Disney. Right.
So I mean, like, I think they just thought they thought people weren't going to complain.
No, everyone was watching the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, and they thought, here's a good time to release a trailer for about something that takes place in a courtroom.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that's as good a reason as any, but they still should have finished the special effects first because this trial's never going to end.
They gave their closing arguments last week.
That would have taken at least 3 lines.
Seemed like it would forever. It's Hollywood, man. That's nothing.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back with our main topic.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right. We're back. John apparently has a lot to say about this. Oh, there was that discussion. We can probably ignore that, and we'll do it next week.
Next week.
We'll save the discussion topic for next week because we've been gone. We're pretty long because of Kenobi. So, Chippendales Rescue Rangers 2022, a Netflix exclusive. Not Netflix. I'm sorry, Disney Plus exclusive. Okay. So let's go around the room let's give our initial thoughts. No spoilers yet. And we'll start with JD.
I thought it was great. It was the unofficial sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I agree. It's definitely a spiritual successor to that.
I mean, maybe it's my age, right? Because I was Chippendales Rescue Rangers is in my wheelhouse. I like Hollywood send-ups. I like noir detective stories. And I just think this hit everything that I kind of enjoyed. And it was much better than I expected it to be. So I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, my only real issue with it is the stunt casting. Like, I feel like you would do that for something you release in the theater to try to get people to watch it, but there's no need to do that for something that's going directly to
stunt casting. What do you mean by that?
Like, it's the original actors who did the voices of the cartoon are all still alive. Like, you could have them do the voices for the movie, but no, they get John Mulaney and Andy Steinberg to be Chippendale. They bring in Seth Rogen and, you know, J.K. Simmons to be characters, and it's just like, oh yeah. And then the one that struck me the most. Do you know who Monterey Jack was?
I didn't.
Eric
Bana, yeah.
Eric Bana. I'm like, what?
Or what about Zipper? Dennis
Haysbert.
Yeah, Haysbert.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I mean, I feel like they do that to like when they put something like that in the theater to get adults to go like, oh, it'd be cool to see him do the voice of this character and to go see it. Like, but I don't feel like you need to do that for something not going to the theater. But
I think it's to entertain adults, though. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it's like it's very Warner Brothers in spirit, where it's a kids thing, but there's a lot of it that's meant to hit the adults. Yeah. Because Andy had a great time watching it, and my wife and I chuckled at all those other things.
Well, and Tessa McNeil, who's the voice of Gadget, was the voice of Gadget from the cartoon. She's like she was also the voice, I believe, of Dale in the cartoon as well.
She was, but then she's done the voice of like everything.
Yeah. So, John, what did you think?
Why did you hate this movie? I'm so curious.
I didn't hate it. It's just, it didn't hit me well at all. I wasn't really, I mean, there were a few funny parts, but it just like a lot of it was cringe. And John Mulaney as a voice actor, he did every other line. I was expecting him to start it off with a horse in a hospital. I don't know if you ever heard that skit that he does.
No,
it's like, but it's a funny skit. You should hear it. But he's on stage, his cadence is great for his skits. But
John Mulaney was just being John Mulaney. Like, he's not really an actor. I know.
But that's the thing. But he's got a weird way of a weird cadence to how he says things. And it just rubs me wrong for this kind of thing. And it's just, the rest of it was like I said, there were a couple of things that made me chuckle. Seth Rogen, he falls down, and was it Bob?
All the characters,
all the characters he's played. Bob the Warrior Viking falls down, and then there's Pumbaa Mantis and B.O.B. Bob from Aliens versus Monsters, or Monsters versus Aliens. It's just, that was funny. But other than that, like, the rapping thing made me cringe so hard I had to skip past it.
You're supposed to. It was supposed to be bad. It's a parody of when they make cartoon characters rap. That's why, like, I would never eat whale. Like, it's supposed to be bad, but like, because that's a trope.
Hey, right? I lived through the rapping Ninja Turtles.
They never rapped. The Turtles never rapped. They just
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
When did the Turtles rap?
Yes, they did. On stage with Vanilla Ice.
Oh, they did a stage show with Vanilla Ice? Okay.
Yes.
I missed that.
You're much happier in your life.
I'm fine with that. But that's the thing. That's the trope. The trope is like with the Chipmunks, they were rapping. So I mean, that you do a send up of the trope.
I know, but I just.
Before we get into spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, it's free. Go watch it on Disney Plus and come back. I would say we're 2 thumbs up and a thumbs in the middle.
Pretty much. I mean, I didn't hate it. It's just, it didn't. There were parts of it that were just kind of dead to me.
But if you've seen it or you don't care, okay, here are spoilers. So basically the setup of the movie is the Chip and Dale have split up since they were on the TV. They were the concept is they were friends in real life, and then the TV show was just a TV show, and they were actors, which is, I thought that was a clever way to do it, as opposed to they were actually rescue rangers in real life, that they're just actors. And then Monterey Jack gets captured, and they're forced to actually have a real adventure and find him, which is not a bad setup for a kids movie. So, anything? What did you guys think of that?
It's fine. I mean, I said this whole thing entertained me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm of the right age and I like that style of storytelling and humor. I don't know. It was fun. I liked it a lot.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of animation and toy cameos in this that make it feel like a Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, it's very much
sequel.
Roger. It's very much
Blink and you miss it. I saw. I picked up like there are a couple of freeze frames where you can see like Sailor Moon. I mean, I think there's enough of that character obscured that they didn't have to go to Japan to get the rights to it. But that was definitely Sailor Moon.
They had our Crumb character in there, current characters in there. Like it's
references to Roger Rabbit in there.
Yeah, Roger Rabbit's in it.
And then they had the was it the G4 ponies from My Little Pony?
I thought of you when I saw that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, John,
that's He-Man and
I was wrong.
And Skeletor.
Yep.
At conventions, like I think that's when
those were the original voice actors too.
Those were the original voice actors.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's such a great send up of acting culture today, where these guys make money on doing the convention circuit, and they had Ugly Sonic, right? It's
that was the weirdest part of the whole movie. I'm sorry, it really was.
I thought it was great because like it's a whole thing about like because what's it all about? It's about like knockoffs, right?
Yeah,
and like that
was kind of clever.
It was, and they kept staring at the teeth because again that was weird, right? And I thought that was great that that Ugly Sonic kind of saves the day, right? And he has like a redemption arc.
I get that, but I thought it was weird in the fact that like they made a point about having that machine that can change the appearance of the characters, and you could have just said that Sonic just went through that surgery to look like himself or look different for the movie, but no, like he's a totally separate character.
It's funnier that he wasn't Sonic. Again, that's a great call to like other Darren and stuff like that, right? Like it's a great send up of like TV where like other actors are cast in roles and like they get uncast and they lose jobs. And I thought it was, again, as a Hollywood send up. And again, because the current Sonic is the real Sonic, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm not the real Sonic. I can't run fast. Like It was fun. I thought it was funny. And I liked the idea of Peter Pan being evil, right? The never grow up guy. Because again, it's the perfect origin story for a supervillain. Peter Pan.
Is that what you have a problem with, John? They made Peter Pan evil because you are Peter Pan.
Hey, I got beef with them making Winnie the Pooh evil. So if you do, I get it.
Oh yeah, but Winnie the Pooh was in there for half a second. Well, it was the bear honey guy. Yes.
And they did it with the Simpsons too. I thought it was a great idea too, is we'll just make the knockoff movie with the real characters. Like,
that's right. There was a South Park character in there too.
South Park, Simpsons. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Shocking stuff.
Randy was in there. Yeah.
Blaster from the Transformers is at their
in the beginning
show.
Yeah.
Like it's I thought it was, from that whole aspect, as a child of the 80s and 90s, I think it kind of hits on all the right notes. Like if you're the right age and you're looking for an entertaining evening, like it's not earth changing, but I thought it's pretty solid in that.
And I saw a question on social media of like, do they even own half the stuff that's referenced in this? And I don't think they do, but it's like it's a weird movie to pay the copyrights for, to be able to do all that.
I'm shocked at how much they must have paid to everybody to do this movie and not to give it a theatrical release.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, this feels like it should have been in the theater. I don't know why it was on Disney Plus.
But would it have worked in the theater? Right? Does this, I guarantee, I'll tell you right now, if you put this movie in the theaters, I'm not going to see it.
It didn't feel big enough for a theater.
And I think they knew it. I think they kind of knew what it was. That said, they definitely spent some money on it. Like,
they had Paula Abdul in there,
and the cat,
the cat. Yeah.
Oh, what's that song?
Opposites Attract.
Opposites Attract.
Thank you. Opposites Attract.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
It was supposed to be weird. Like that's the point.
Yeah. I mean, so many like odd cameos, and then the thought that Zipper and Gadget were a couple was weird to me too, but that's
that was
people were mad. Like the 8-channers and the 4-channers were like, she's been sullied. That was I saw some dude like, that was the sexual awakening of a generation was Gadget, and I was like, bro, you got problems, man.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, mongrel. I saw the word mongrelization thrown around.
No,
There's
They seriously are. That's a real problem because the actual sexual awakening was the sorcerers from He-Man. I mean, like, come on, all of this stuff is just like but that's one of those things like
thong, basically. That's true.
True, Antila. But here's the thing, like
Baroness is where it was at though.
Well,
Scarlet.
Yeah.
Scarlet. Well, it depends if you get the good girl or the bad girl.
Yeah.
Dude is aside.
I like good girls.
Oh, what's the name of that cartoon movie with the cop rabbit and the fox?
What?
Oh my, the big movie with cop rabbit and the fox.
Zootopia.
Zootopia, right? So like this and this movie, that and this movie are both like, it's just they do gags for stuff, but if you really dig into them, like when the cop rabbit's leaving her place, because it's all rabbits, the population is spinning up and up and up and up and up. Like this is like, how many horrible Cronenberg children did The Fly and the?
It is, dude. It is. You know what? I thought that too. It's super Cronenbergy.
Yeah,
like it really is. And I laughed. People got mad at it, but again, they're cartoons, so it doesn't matter.
I know. Like, and that's okay in this case. It's just
Speaking
but it's
of
one of those
Cronenberg,
things
wasn't
where
there also a Rick and Morty?
Yeah, there was Rick and Morty there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like I just it's one of those things where you scratch the surface and it's like, oh my God, this universe is horrible and like evil.
It's like, again, it's essentially a sequel to Roger Rabbit where it's Toontown. I think they even referred to it as Toontown at one point, But again, it's 80 years after the fact, so it's a little bit more lived in.
I think
people
I
are more
loved.
used to living with it.
Well, except for Uncanny Alley. Oh my God.
Well,
the first thing you see is cats. I'm like, yep, that's definitely Uncanny Alley.
Oh, I cracked up when I saw that. Again, it cost them money for one of cinema's greatest disasters. Like,
yeah.
I'm assuming Bob the Warrior Viking is a World of Warcraft character. I'm not sure.
I think that's a play on World of Warcraft because, like, again, they can't stare at anything. They have the dead eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
I am looking at you.
Yeah.
It was funny. I enjoyed all that.
And I loved the Main Street scene when Chip and Dale are walking down Main Street, and it's like, I don't remember the exact lines, but it's like, oh no, that's a drug dealer, and that's a trafficker, and it's like, what? They use their cuteness to hide what they're really doing, and I'm like,
they had Muppets in this too.
You a cop? They had like the Swedish, a knockoff on the Swedish Chef.
Yeah, because he was a
drug dealer, couldn't actually do the real Swedish Chef. I'm sure the Henson people are like, come on, please don't do that.
But they could have, because guess what?
They're owned
That's also owned by Disney.
But
It's
again,
all owned by Disney.
Disney doesn't want to crap on their own property, except for Peter Pan, apparently. They don't want to crap on anybody else's property. I wonder if they're having issues with the Barry estate.
Well, isn't Peter Pan out in is Peter Pan in
Of course, it's public
domain, right? Yeah.
I don't know if Peter Pan is in public domain. Oh, hey, what's up? Come here. You want to say hi? Come here. This is Astro. He's getting say hi, Astro. Say hi. So you guys can't see this because it's a podcast, but my dog has come in. He's now 6 months old, and he's getting big. He's like 57 pounds. He's like 50 some pounds now.
How do you convey cuteness through audio?
I just thought his son had snuck in, but no. It's
Peter Pan the novel is in the public domain in U.S. The play and stage adaptions are in copyright until 2023.
So soon.
A year. So they might be having problems with the Barry estate. Stand by. I have an upset dog.
Mm-hmm.
They might want to crap on him so people won't want to use the character.
Well, I wait until he comes back. Yeah, Peter Pan is one of their Peter Pan and Tinkerbell are one of their those are two like mainstay characters for the Disney brand.
It is. Well, Tinkerbell is. I'm not sure about Peter Pan though. It's weird to me that they were. Again, it's their own characters. They embraced it, but I'm very surprised that they allowed that interpretation of Peter Pan.
Actually, don't they still have the Peter Pan ride at Disney World?
I haven't been to Disney World since 1993.
Do you know what I actually was shocked by?
What?
The only, maybe I missed something. The only Marvel reference was Paul Rudd saying the original Ant-Man was Ant. man, he's very loving to his aunt. Like,
Paul Rudd he's such a nice guy. He'll appear in anything and say anything you want.
Well, he likes money too. So I'm sure that was pitched to him. And he's
but
like,
I mean, like they could have thrown in any Marvel character in this movie as, or even from the cartoons.
It reads to me like they didn't want to. So that was like the peace treaty is the way I read that.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I don't think they wanted the Marvel characters in there. Probably because they didn't want to deal with Feige.
Yeah.
I
mean, or maybe Feige didn't want to deal with them.
It's possible. It read to that whole sequence, which is funny. That whole little joke reads to me like, fine, whatever, Yeah, I enjoyed all this. I liked the mystery around it. I liked I thought it was creative, they're making because again, we've all seen those knockoff cartoons. Like you go to like Jewel, you get the grocery store here, you get the $2 VHS tapes, and it's knockoff cartoons.
Yeah. They did have Tigra though.
They did have Tigra, but she's Marvel. That's true.
Yeah,
because I thought it was Chitara, and I'm wrong. It was
not Chitara or Cheetah, right? Or no,
Cheetah would be DC, so they weren't.
Well, Chitara is Thundercats, right?
No, it was Tigra so they did have a superhero thing, Dave. They had Tigra.
That's true. But
someone who has not been utilized.
Right, who has not been utilized yet in anything. So
who played her again? I forget.
What?
In this movie?
Tigra, Liz Kakowski. But she also did Officer O'Hara, the bird wife, and cow teacher. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's just a voice actor. No, that's not her thing.
I thought it was somebody more famous.
Nope. No, she's done a lot of stuff, but she's been in Community and what was it?
Yeah, she's fine.
Funny or Die presents.
I assumed she was someone more famous, so good on her. She did a good job.
Yeah,
I did like J.K. Simmons as the police captain,
the villain.
I thought that was an official Gumby character. It's just a knockoff Gumby character.
Again, because he's evil. I thought it was going to be one of the blockheads. It worked.
Oh, but okay. So the end where he's fighting her, the whole T2 thing was kind of funny as hell. When he was revealed as the bad guy and he's going after the good cop and he's doing the whole T2 thing where he's sliding under the door.
Oh yeah,
and like that was a knockoff of T2.
Yes,
that was kind of funny.
Like I said, this is a movie made by people who love movies, specifically movies from the era in which Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers was created.
So here's my question: your son enjoyed the movie.
He did. He likes Rescue Rangers.
But did you it's weird. It felt like, and maybe I'm just looking at it through my own eyes. It felt like it was geared towards people who grew up with them.
It is. Okay,
more adult people.
Let me play this. Let me switch you. We talk about Roger Rabbit. My mom took me to see Who Framed Roger Rabbit when it came out in the summer of 1988. I was 8 years old. I loved it because it was a cartoon movie about this funny rabbit. I did not get the movie really until I got older and realized it was a setup of noir, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what that's what a good cartoon is it's like I said, you watch Looney Tunes, right? When you're a little kid, you laugh at the sight gags. When you're older, you laugh at you start getting who these Hollywood personalities are, you laugh at those. And then you get a lot older, you start getting the sexual innuendos that are thrown in that fly into the radar. As it hits you differently as you're growing up.
Right.
And that's what good animation does. Animation specifically, because you can get away with stuff, right? And which is not something that Disney often does. That's, like I said, a trademark of Warner Brothers. But they embrace that a lot. That's what
makes this movie very shocking.
Me too. I thought that's part of what I enjoyed about it. But again, with Rescue Rangers, you can do that. And my wife has made a decision that we're going to raise our child in a steady diet of 80s and 90s cartoons. So he loves stuff from, again, what's the difference between now? Because everything is a remake of 80s and 90s cartoons.
So he will win the golden egg in the Great Challenge, right?
Good. Very possible. So again, he liked...
You never...
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just nodding.
Oh, yeah, it's just... that movie, Ready Player One. That was all...
I saw it one time and it made no impression on me at all. I watched it for the show. We reviewed it and I've forgotten everything about it since. I'm not a video game guy. So a lot of my review at the time was like, I would compare it to I think I called it pizza, where it's like, pretty good, but it's like, pizza. Like
that's how I feel about this one though.
I get it. Because again, if you have no connection to that, I totally understand it. Because I didn't have, for me, Ready Player One was you shown all these things. I'm like, all those things were better the first time around. Where for me, this was a send up of all that stuff, things that were absolutely better the first time around, but that's the gag. We're making knockoffs.
It's funny though, because people tried to make a comparison to Roger Rabbit and Ready Player One just because of the idea of mixing
I get it.
Properties together. And I'm like, yeah, but it did not have the same feel as Roger Rabbit, where this does,
I agree with that. And I think Ready Player One is really kind of its own thing, where it's a pop culture Cuisinart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is like Roger Rabbit is intentionally self-referential.
Yes.
Where like this works because like Ready Player One, they just throw a bunch of stuff at you that you've seen, but it's not really the version. Like he's not really driving around in the DeLorean. He's driving around a facsimile of the DeLorean.
Mm-hmm.
In this, like you're supposed to accept that is Peter Pan, right?
Yeah.
But it's a send up. It's done for it's a spoof,
right?
The more we talk about it, the more I realize, the more I think I'm realizing that. I mean, the general setup and some of the scenes I do like. It's just, I think my problem is Chip and Dale themselves as main characters. They didn't grab me at all. And part of that was because of John Mulaney's voice, which just did not hit me right.
I can see that, and as for watching as much animation as you do, I can see that being a major detraction. And I don't have much of a connection to. I've never watched John Mulaney's stand up, so I don't know much about him other than he was Spider Pig. Spider Ham, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, you have another contribution you'd like to make to the show? No? Okay.
Cute dog is asking you for num-nums.
He probably wants some attention. Well, we'll go for a walk after the show.
Andy Samberg, I have no problem with. It's because he's hysterical normally. But I don't know if it was. It just didn't.
I get it. If the performance, that's a major thing about acting. If the performance doesn't land with you, and again, if it didn't feel like Chip and Dale to you. Like I never
watched Rescue Rangers though.
But I mean, like if you didn't feel like Chip and Dale, like even like from the cartoon, the original Chip and Dale cartoons, like if they don't feel, because again, these were actors that were essentially playing Chip and Dale.
Yeah, the problem is I've got no skin in that game at all.
So that's part of it too. I think too is like you don't have a skin in that game, right? You don't, because again, I think a lot of this movie works if you have those touchstones. Right. Yeah. This movie is absolutely like the member berries thing. Like this absolutely is that.
Oh yeah. When they're going through the ceiling and there's Scrooge McDuck diving into a small pool of gold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, yeah. And then the next room over, there's Randy from South Park I get it. You remember this? And
again, it's what I like about it is because that's totally what Ready Player One is. Ready Player One is remember all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I know
all this stuff is.
Yeah,
this is remember how cool all this stuff is. Let's laugh at how stupid this is.
Yes. But I like the storyline of Ready Player One better than I like this. Like that one.
Yeah, and I didn't. That didn't connect at all with me.
Well, that might be because you're a video game thing. Like for me,
it is. I think I
played all those video games. I was there when Atari 2600 was out. I played Adventure, and I found the dot and the very first thing. Like I did those things. So, yeah, but for this, maybe it is. You're right. Maybe it's just I got no skin in the game. It's and just those characters. And the way they acted, like I would have to have that nostalgia about them, because I don't think they were written fairly well here.
I think if you have that nostalgia for the characters and are willing to be entertained by a spoof of it, it probably lands. And again, I'm that age that Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers was marketed to me, and now that I'm a parent with little kids. It's like, hey, remember this thing from you were kids? We're going to redo it the way everyone else does, but we're going to make it a joke.
Yeah.
Which is why this whole thing worked for me.
John, I think I know what your problem is. Sometimes some crimes go slipping through the cracks, but these two gumshoes are picking up the slack.
There's no cage too big, no cage too small. If you need help, just call.
Oh my God.
Rescue Rangers. See, like,
when an eel bites your thigh and you bleed out and die, it's amore.
That is true. that is accurate. Everything you just said was in fact a thing.
Anyway.
I don't have that in my head like you guys do apparently.
Again, I think it's an age thing. It's like there's just enough of an age gap where like I don't have the Schoolhouse Rock thing.
Oh, see,
but you're a Gen Xer and I'm a millennial.
I can sing almost all of those by heart.
There's the difference. Is I didn't have that, right? By the time I was watching cartoons, ABC had kind of gotten away from that.
Yeah.
You know,
just a shame.
Yeah. I mean, I was a child of the 80s. Nobody marketed nothing to us. Like nobody did. That's all they did was market us. Nobody pushed education on my generation. We were the Reagan administration. It was a free for all. It was nothing but toy advertisements constantly.
And the end of regulation on the financial industry. But
that's a conversation for another show. But yeah, that's deregulation specifically of the toy industry and television is what led to stuff like that. Yes. My generation we're nostalgic for toys.
Yes.
And the marketing campaigns
Toy Galaxy is a channel on
which is a
YouTube.
Great channel. It's a great channel. I enjoy it so much watching those I love documentaries. I could just watch those things forever. They're great.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap this one up. Do we want to give it a score?
You guys can score it. I mean, I'm not going to score it too high.
I'm going to give it 8 nuts.
Okay.
I'll give it 8 Zipper and Gadget Cronenberg children.
Ooh.
Ew.
7 Videodromes.
I think the higher you go on that scale, the worse things get.
Did you hear Cronenberg's got a new movie out that people are like, they were walking out of Cannes because they were so disgusted? I'm sure old man Cronenberg's like, I still got it.
Sounds like Faces of Death. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen one of those movies.
You don't know. Everyone my age acted like they saw a Faces of Death movie, but nobody actually did because you couldn't find them anywhere. But
I actually did have one back in the day.
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit though. Like the Faces of Death stuff.
It is and it isn't. It is kind of gross, but it's not right. I don't know.
That's another example of the 80s. Here's a movie where people actually die. Are you brave enough to watch it? Like that would never fly today.
Oh yeah, no. These days, by these days standards, that thing's tame. Are you kidding me? What you can find on the internet?
No.
But they wouldn't market it though.
Right. Oh no, they couldn't. They couldn't.
No, you just have to know how to. You just have to know how to do a web search. Yeah. You know the ins and outs of the dark web.
I'm gonna give it a 6. By the way,
it's not that bad. I thought you were gonna give it like a 2.
No, like it's not unwatchable, and I realize that part of my issue is nostalgia. It's not in my wheelhouse. But I do get most of the references in it, you know. It's just I don't know. I don't feel like the main characters were written very well. John Mulaney's voice did not lend itself well to even that. And then some of the gags were funny as hell. You know, Seth Rogen cracked me up.
I feel that when people talk about Dragon Ball stuff, right? I have no connection to it, but I see all the Dragon Ball memes and it doesn't connect with me.
I get it. So now I am tasking you to watch all of Dragon Ball Z.
No.
Thanks, Dave. The boss overruled you. It's never.
I had to watch
that
it all.
Was a
My son was hugely into Dragon Ball, and we have all the first series on DVD. So we watched all of that, and then I remember Dragon Ball Super came out on like whatever it was, Cartoon Network or whatever.
Crunchyroll. Well, it might have been. I mean, Dragon Ball Super is really recent. I mean,
what was the one that came out? What was the second series after Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball GT. We don't speak of that. Okay. That doesn't exist. That's been retconned out because it sucked.
All I know is that like the second series felt like a rehash of the first series, and I'm like,
it was, and it sucked.
Okay, so
so you were correct in that thinking.
I had to watch it, so I was like, wait, didn't I see all this already? Yeah, anyway, let's wrap this up. Bring it in for a landing. You guys have any recommendations or anything that you learned this week? We'll start with JD.
I don't learn shit. I moved the wolves. I forgot to mention this earlier. I moved the wolves because the Kickstarter campaign's done. John showed us his books earlier that he got the Wolfstone saga.
See, audio people. See.
Yes, it's a video. This show was a video podcast at one time, and then we decided not to make it a video podcast. But
I have a girlfriend. I can't do all that editing.
He doesn't have that time anymore. Getting laid. So I moved the campaign as again, I'm not asking questions anymore. I'm just doing what I'm told. I moved the campaign over to Indiegogo, and I'm not pushing it very hard because I made my money. I actually did really well in this last campaign because I used Amazon to ship, saved a lot of money. But now it's over on Indiegogo now. So if you missed out on the Wolfstone Saga before, for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be live on Indiegogo, because I'm not going to release it on Amazon until probably the fall, probably like later in the fall. So if you're interested in checking out these books, or if you're interested in checking out any of my other books, everything's available in that campaign. So yeah, I'm not living or dying by that campaign. This is an experiment that I'm just going to see how it works, But yeah, it's a good place to get them. People are starting to read the stuff, and they're really enjoying the new series, and it makes me very proud.
Well, John,
I've learned nothing. My brain is empty because I'm on vacation.
Good.
I'm well on my way to working my way back through Jim Butcher's books. I'm on number 4, Summer Night, and I'm. It's been a while since I've reread the series, and I really love it. Like, I can't believe how much I've forgotten, which is good. I'm starting to make a list of all the benefits that Dresden has accrued over the years, all the favors and everything, and I'm beginning to see just how really powerful he is by the end. So I can't wait to read the next. I will make a recommendation though. I may have made this recommendation before, but I put this back on my list of books that I want to reread because they're just that good. David Eddings' Belgariad and also The Malorian. Each one of those is 3 books.
Fantasy?
And
Fantasy?
One of the greatest fantasy tales ever told.
Like, we're talking like high fantasy stuff?
Not high fantasy, more like adventure fantasy, I'd say.
What's the difference? And not being, I just wade into the urban fantasy realm with this.
High fantasy is Hobbit. High fantasy is Hobbit.
So what's
you're dealing more with metaphors than you are with with the Bulgaria and the Malorian. A lot of it is them on road trips, basically trying to get away from people or trying to get to an event. But the characters, oh my God,
cool.
In the Bulgaria and the Malorian, David Eddings, one of the greatest writers of our time, and just that series, the 2 trilogies, I cannot recommend them higher. I reread them every 5 years or so just because they are that freaking good.
Have you read Brandon Sanderson stuff?
Have I read Sanderson? I've read Sanderson before. I forget which ones though.
I know he finished the Wheel of Time. I never read any of his stuff, but when he had that major Kickstarter a couple months ago, I backed, and I'm getting one of his free mystery books, and I've never read anything of his before, so I'm going to go in there totally ice cold, and I have no idea what to expect.
Oh, Wheel of Time?
Well, he finished Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I know. You're going to try to read the whole thing from the first book?
No, I'm not. That was his Kickstarter campaign. He released 4 books and didn't tell you what they were.
Oh, okay.
They're mystery. There's a mystery. He's like, I'm not even telling you what genre these things are. And it worked. He made $37 million. So I mean, like,
it's Brendan Sanderson. So
right. So that's like, I've never read him before. So I mean, like, I'm getting the first of his free mystery books, and I literally have no idea what to expect.
That's what you do on your next
Damn, I'm gonna have to get it too.
Yeah.
I'm not tell anyone about it, and you'll make $37 million.
Just give me money. I will give you something of worth.
I am going to lift part of it for one I'm going to do later on, because
okay.
I'm not I can't do that, but I mean, there is something I can steal from it.
Cool.
All right. Well, I would recommend that you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to our social media at the top of the page, and of course, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square. I think what I learned this week is that if you're cute enough or a nostalgic character, you can get away with anything like human trafficking, which makes me a little nervous about what Disney's actually doing behind the scenes. But
was that ever a question?
I will recommend this movie. Like, if you grew up with Chip and Dale, if you grew up with loving Roger Rabbit, I think you'll get it, and you'll like this movie. Your kids will love it, and watch Obi-Wan, because we'll continue talking about this. Can't wait to see how they utilize Hayden Christensen in this as Darth Vader. Like,
it should be weird.
That is going to be interesting.
Will be weird. It'll be
very weird. So, on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.